What is up, my butter biscuits? So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Kat Von D and KVD. Now they're rebranding themselves yet again. If you guys do not remember, actually back in January of 2020, they ended up buying out, and when I say they, I mean Kendo, because I believe that they were the main owners of KVD Vegan Beauty or Kat Von D Beauty. They changed the name so many times now. I really feel like they should just get rid of the KVD because it's confusing me, y'all. I'm like over here like, oh, I don't know what to call it now, because in my head I want to just call it Kat Von D, and then I want to call it KVD Vegan Beauty, and now it's just something completely different. It's just very, very difficult, but this is their second time rebranding ever since getting rid of Kat Von D, and she actually has some thoughts and opinions on this as well too, and I think that I low-key agree with her on this one. So within today's video, we're going to go ahead and talk about when they dropped Kat Von D from KVD, then they did their first rebranding, and now their second rebranding, and I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on why I think that the brand is actually kind of failing at this point, and I think that that sucks because ironically enough, I went to go check my P.O. box today. A huge shout out to Renelle, y'all. She hooked me up for my birthday. She sent me a big old gift box. And actually within that gift was this new palette right here, which is the Edge of Reality eyeshadow palette. I believe this came out in December or maybe November. I'm not really too sure, but it came out within the past like 5-6 months. And I actually used this palette to create this look right now. And I absolutely loved this palette. Ironically enough, I did once upon a time used to be on Kat Von D's PR list. I'm going to say Kat Von D because that's what it was back then when I was on the PR list. And I never had tried any of their eyeshadows. I just tried foundations, concealers, brushes, brow products, things like that, but I never tried any of their eyeshadows. And y'all, after using this palette, I'm like, you know what? There is still so much hope for the KVD brand because they just have such amazing products. They have such great formulations. And honestly, y'all, after using these shimmers within this specific palette, I do believe that this is actually the closest that I've ever gotten to any type of Pat McGrath shimmery shadows. I feel like every other one out there that I try, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to look for a Pat McGrath dupe, and this was actually the closest. So it really does give me hope for the brand. However, I do feel like they are failing because they want to hold on to that KVD name, which I totally understand. We're going to go ahead and give you all the details within today's video. I'm going to actually go ahead and give you guys a recap of what happened in the past when they actually dropped Kat Von D from the brand and bought her out and then decided to, you know, rename it as KVD Vegan Beauty. I'm just letting you guys know right now, I'm going to get it twisted 500 times within this video because in my head, I want to call it Kat Von D Beauty, and then I want to call it, you know, KVD Vegan Beauty, and then now the KVD stands for something else. I'll tell you guys within this video, and I'm just sitting over here like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to call it, so I'm sorry if I get super tongue twisted with it because I just feel like the KVD they should get rid of. Honestly, let me just tell you guys that from the jump. I feel like it's something that they are trying to hold on to, obviously, because there is millions of people out there who know it as KVD from when it was Kat Von D Beauty. And they want to hold on to that because I think that it may actually confuse the customer. But I feel like they should let it go. You know what I mean? The brand is so amazing. I feel like they come out with such amazing products, but this whole rebranding thing, in my personal opinion, is just not really working. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys all of the details within today's video. So if you guys are interested in that, of course, go ahead and keep on watching. If y'all are new here, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, turn on your post notifications so that way you'll get notified when I upload a new video, and make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, I feel like I mentioned it in my head, I did not film a tutorial on this look, and I really regret it because I absolutely love the way that it came out. And I haven't done something like so dramatic with neutral tones in such a long time. Y'all know whenever I do any eyeshadow tutorials, it's normally with like color. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is really dramatic, but then also with neutral tones. So I really, really like it. So if you guys do want a tutorial on this, please let me know. I probably will switch up like the tones a little bit just to change it up. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to repeat looks. But anyways, y'all, let me know about that, and let's go ahead and get into today's video. Just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up right here, I actually have my iPad full of notes because I just feel like there was so many details to talk about within this video. So I literally did my research. I felt like I was back in school and I have my iPad full of notes. So I do apologize if I'm constantly looking over here. It's because I do have so many details to talk about and I want to make sure that I stay on topic. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all know whenever I do any type of like chisme videos, I just get so all over the place. However, I really wanted to stay in line here with what was going on and why I think that the brand should kind of change things up in my personal opinion. But I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a recap of what happened. So back in January 16th of 2020, this is when Kat Von D came forward and said that she's no longer going to have anything to do with the brand. Kendo actually bought her out and they said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and use the brand's likeliness, leave it as KVD. At this point, they named it as KVD Vegan Beauty, you know, which everyone's like, okay, like why not just change the brand name from the beginning? Because it just doesn't really make sense why you're holding on to that. But I think as a company standpoint, they wanted to hold on to that because I think it would confuse the customer, like I mentioned earlier. I think that there's millions of people out there who purchase their core products, whether it be the foundation or powder or eyebrow products, that know it as that. And if they were to switch up and do a complete rebranding, they would go to Sephora and they would look for something KVD. And then they would be like, wait, what? It's called Kendo Beauty now? People would get very thrown off by this. So I think that's why they tried holding on to the name. However, nonetheless, I do want to give you guys a little bit of details on Kendo. I don't know if it's Kendo. Like, honestly, in my head, I'm so like confused now, because for the longest time, I was always calling it Kendo. And I'm going to go ahead and just read this right from their website. Actually, if you guys are interested in knowing more about them as well, too, you can go to kendobrands.com. But it literally says right in their bio, it says a play on the words can do. So this whole entire time, y'all, I'm literally calling it Kendo. And now I'm like, wait, is it like Kendo? Kendo? I don't know, y'all. Y'all can school me on that one. I was so confused. I always called it Kendo since forever. Ever since I knew about them, in my head, it was Kendo. Now I'm messing it up, y'all. For the longest time, I thought it was Kendo. Okay? Anyways, y'all, to give you guys a little bit of details on them, picture them like Estee Lauder. They own a whole bunch of brands. So Kendo, actually, I'm going to keep calling them Kendo, just letting you guys know. Kendo actually owns a whole bunch of makeup brands. They even own Fenty. They own Marc Jacobs Beauty. They own Bite. They own a whole bunch of really good brands that are actually carried within Sephora. I think that they have really good, strong relationships with Sephora because all of their brands are sold in Sephora. So just picture them like Estee Lauder, you know? They just own makeup brands. I'm really not going to go too far into details as far as Kendo. If you guys want to know more, like I said, you can go over to their website because there is a lot of, you know, useful information on there if you want to know about them. But to my understanding, they own the majority of Kat Von D Beauty at the time. So they bought her out, obviously, and they wanted to continue using the KVD logo and all the products that she had actually created before. Because if you guys do not remember, all of the packaging, she actually hand designed herself, and then it was obviously printed onto the packaging. Those were her designs, and they obviously wanted to buy her out and use that. So anyways, y'all, let's go ahead and fast forward to the future here. This is actually within 2020, like I mentioned, January 16th, 2020. This is where Kat Von D had came forward, and she posted this right here. She said, "My dearest fans, this past year has been one of great change for me. As many of you know, I gave birth to my beautiful baby boy, launched my vegan shoe line, and I'm now busy prepping to release my long-awaited album in the spring, followed by an international tour." Y'all, did any music ever come out? Because I never heard of that. Anyways, as much as I wish I could balance all of this on top of continuing my makeup line, it has become more clear to me that I just can't do everything at the maximum capacity. It's hard to admit this since I've always said you can do everything and anything, but I don't think admitting one's limit is a bad thing. With that said, I've decided to sell my shares of the brand, turning it over to Kendo, my partners for the last 11 years. This was not an easy decision, but after careful consideration, I decided I wanted the makeup line to continue to thrive and grow, and I believe Kendo is primed to do just that. The transition for you, my loyal customers, will be seamless. In order to avoid any confusion with such a big change, Kat Von D Beauty will take a moment to rebrand itself, so you will start noticing the change from Kat Von D Beauty to KVD Vegan Beauty. I'd like to thank my beloved fans plus followers who supported my vision to create a brand that stood for compassion, true artistry, and challenged modern ideals of beauty, most of which I never could relate to. I was able to create a makeup line that made outsiders like me feel like we have a place in this beauty world, and gave myself and others the tools to express ourselves in our own unique way, whether it was embraced by the majority or not, and I just couldn't have done any of that without you. Lastly, thank you for understanding plus respecting my choice, as it was a difficult one to make, but one I am proud of regardless, and I'm confident that the team will continue the KVD legacy. Here's to many, many more years of KVD vegan beauty. So a lot of speculation was happening during this time, because if you guys do not remember, I believe it was in 2019, she came forward with a video that was actually titled, I have it noted right here, "I am not a Nazi and I am not anti-vax." And the reason for this is a lot of people were coming forward because she actually made the decision to make it public that she wasn't going to vaccinate her child, which obviously everyone was just outraged by this. They were like, girl, like, that is just so irresponsible. How can you do this, you know? She came forward within this video and she actually said that she was unaware of a lot of things and she was just misinformed and uneducated. However, she did say within that video that I'm not going to make any of my baby's decisions be public, which to me it kind of reads as, I'm still not going to vaccinate him. I'm just not going to say it. That's kind of like what I took it as. I was like rewatching that video and I'm like, well, you're just saying over here that yes, you were uneducated and misinformed, but you're not going to make any decisions like public, which I personally think, in my personal opinion, I feel like she should have never made that public anyways, because it's kind of like, just keep that stuff private. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, she did do it though, because obviously it raised a lot of awareness towards vaccinations and stuff like that. Also, another thing that I want to touch on is the whole Nazi thing. I actually rewatched this video and I just never really paid attention to it. But she said within this video that she used to be on Miami Ink and then she had some problems with one of the cast members there. So one of the producers wanted to give her her own show, which was LA Ink, move her over to LA, have her open up her own shop, and hire a whole like female cast of artists. And during this time, one of those castmates that she was having the problem with in Miami actually like forged some type of anti-Semitic message onto one of her pieces of art. And that person had taken it over to a producer and said, look at her. How can you go and hire her? You need to cancel her show or I'm going to take this to the media and show everyone what she truly is. She claimed within this video that it was all forged and that the actual network took a look at this and actually looked at her writing versus that writing and determined that this was not true. So I just do want to throw that out there. In my personal opinion, I think that she got this label obviously because of that, but then also look at her husband. He does have a swastika tattooed on his throat, as well as she was dating, I believe it was Jesse James. I could totally be wrong with that. I'm sorry, I didn't do the research on that part. But I do believe that it was Jesse James, and I think that he was seen before wearing a Nazi costume on like Halloween or something like that. So obviously she was tied to this type of behavior, so people were labeling her as being, you know, a Nazi or anti-Semitic or whatnot. I do believe if you watch her video, it does come across as like sincere that she did get, you know, forged and she did get like threatened, obviously, because this guy did want to cancel her show LA Ink. But would you continue to surround yourself with people like that if it wasn't true? Do you know what I'm saying? I just feel like if what you're saying is true, because honestly, y'all go back and watch her video and it really does look like, okay, well, she is being sincere. But then it's like you go and you marry this man who has a swastika here. You're dating this man here who dresses up like a Nazi. It's kind of like, well, it's kind of looking that way. You know what I'm saying? You're guilty by association at that point. So anyways, y'all, moving forward here, that's actually when the brand reformed itself, or renamed itself rather, as KVD Vegan Beauty. And this one to me, I was just kind of like, you know what? Like, I would have just changed the whole thing. Honestly, from the jump, I literally even said that last year. I'm like, this is just confusing. I feel like, yes, I totally get it. Because say, for example, if MAC Cosmetics got bought out and you're so used to looking at that MAC logo, that black packaging, and you go to look for one of their products and then you're like, hold up, it's now bright blue and like the name has changed, but it's still the same exact formulation. You're going to be a little bit skeptical in the aspect of, you know what, is this the same product? What if they change it? What if it's cheaper ingredients now? What if it's not the same amount of coverage? What if it's not the same amount of color? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're going to end up like questioning so many things. So I feel like obviously Kendo, being that they are in charge of KVD, they didn't want to do that because they would confuse their customers. That's just me in my personal opinion, because honestly, y'all, working at MAC, I did find whenever we would change the packaging on something or even change the name of something, but it would be the same exact color as it was, people would be skeptical about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times they would come out with specific colors within a limited edition packaging, and I'd be like, oh, we're out of Russian red, but we do have it in this packaging. People would be like, no, it's not the same thing. And I'm like, it's literally the same thing. Like, it's literally Russian red. It's just in a different package. You know what I'm saying? But people get confused by that because they're comfortable with what they know. And I totally get that, because there are some things that I would be skeptical about. If you change the packaging, I'd be like, are the ingredients the same? Is it the same quality? I would start thinking that, so I totally understand. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and fast forward to now, just actually 2 days ago. KVD over the past week had been deleting all of their posts from social media, and they had now came out with this statement right here of what they're going to be calling the brand now. And I just feel like so many people are like, what is going on? This just doesn't make sense, you know? So this is what the brand had to say on their Instagram. So this is what it says. Born in an iconic tattoo studio rooted in a dream of unrestrained beauty with a nonconformist and fearless spirit, we started a revolution with tattoo-inspired makeup and limitless creativity. We continue this legacy. Tattoos are the boldest form of artistic self-expression. This deeply personal ink shows the world what's in your heart. A tattoo is the result of something felt so passionately that it actually becomes part of you. Here's what's part of us. We celebrate the individual. We reject conventional beauty standards and sameness. We accept the beauty of our uniqueness and flaws. We give a F about the world. We care for our planet and all the beings who inhabit it. We believe outsiders are insiders and stand up for what's right. We create high pigment, high performance makeup inspired by tattoo artistry. We give you the tools to live your beauty truth. We stand for cara, veritas, decora. Which, by the way, y'all, I was sitting over here like really testing my Spanish skills, and I was like, this don't really mean nothing in like Spanish. You could like literally go over to Google Translate and put decora in there, and it's gonna translate as decorate, but like no one says that like that. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, y'all, I was sitting over here like, okay, maybe it's some type of Latin, you you know, I don't really know because I'm sitting over here like, what? So anyways, they say value, truth, and beauty. Your truth is valuable and beautiful. We are KVD, tattoo inspired vegan beauty. So this is the thing here. In my personal opinion, I really feel like they're trying to hold on to some type of Latin, you know what I'm saying? And I guess referring to Kat Von D being Latina and being that, you know, she was once upon a time the brand owner and a tattoo artist, I feel like they were struggling really, really hard to just hold on to that. They're like, okay, let's try to think of a Latin name that we can use with KVD and then get the whole tattoo inspired in it, you know? And my whole thing on it is couldn't you think of a different name while still maintaining the whole inspired by tattoos, right? Wouldn't that make sense? I don't know. The whole KVD thing to me, I'm just kind of like, let it go. Like, obviously your brand is struggling a little bit. Not too many people are talking about it. A lot of people still do have that bad image of Kat Von D being on the brand when it's no longer her brand at all anymore. So I feel like at that point it would just be best for Kendo to just like let it go, you know? But like I said, I'm going to keep on saying over and over again within this video, I do totally understand why they're trying to hold on to that KVD, is people look for that logo specifically. Millions of customers know that logo and they're like, you know what, I go into Sephora, I look for that, and they would be super thrown off if they just named it something else, you know? Like, what if they named it Tattoo Beauty? People would be like, what is this, you know? So I totally get it, but then at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know what, I would have just took the chance of completely rebranding, you know? That's just me. Anyways, here's what somebody had to say about this, and this was their response to it. So this person said, why keep the same initials of the previous owner? Nobody likes this name for the brand anymore. Disappointing. And this is what KVD had to say back. Having built 13 years of brand awareness with our consumers for KVD Beauty, we felt it didn't make sense for us to completely rename the brand. It also felt like we'd be changing its identity if we did so. And that's not the message we want to send to our customers. We want to embrace our truth. Since Latin has always been used in certain parts of our brand, we felt it was natural to have KVD stand for Cara Veritas Decora, which, once again, I'm just sitting over here just trying to make sense of it in Spanish because we believe your truth is valuable and beautiful. We care deeply about this brand and we hope you will join us for this exciting new chapter. I do want to say this before moving on and like getting into the whole Kat Von D response and stuff like this. I really do feel like the brand is so beautiful and it really is unique in its own way. Like looking at, oh, you can't really see this because it's too white, but looking at the packaging and the design, obviously you can tell everything is pretty much tattoo inspired because of Kat Von D. And I really do think that they could have held on to that tattoo inspiredness, but just completely changed the name, you know? I really wish that they would have took that chance because I really do feel like it would have been a whole new beginning for them. And on top of that too, I do want to mention that even though Kendo owns all of these other brands, I do feel like KVD is so unique compared to like Fenty Beauty, you know what I'm saying? In my personal opinion, and I know I'm going to get roasted for this, this is just my opinion. I've tried Fenty Beauty, like multiple products before, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of products I love from Fenty Beauty. However, when it comes to eyeshadow, I feel like KVD is obviously way better in my personal opinion. I know that there's just so many people out there that are just like Rihanna, and I'm like, y'all don't even understand. I literally, if you guys come on my lives, y'all know Rihanna's my number one, like literally my number one. But when it comes to eyeshadows, I don't really like Fenty Beauty eyeshadows. I just really don't. I feel like they're just very lackluster. And y'all, after using this today, I'm like, what? Honestly, another thing too is I never had purchased her eyeshadows before because back in the day I was like super, super broke. And I had swatched her, I forget what it was, like metallic something or another. Y'all, I remember swatching some of her metallics and I'm like, they are so bomb. But I never used them. So anyways, now that I use them, I'm like, hold up, these are way better than Fenty. So anyways, my whole point of saying that is I really do still feel like there is a place for the KVD brand on Kendo's roster. You know what I mean? I feel like they could actually just change the brand, like completely rebrand, and it would still be successful because the formulations are still really good. Anyways, y'all, so somebody wrote this to Kat Von D on her recent post, said, do you want to say anything about rebranding of your brand? And keep in mind, it's not her brand anymore. She's 100% bought out. She has no ties to it at all. And she responded just that. I have absolutely nothing to do with that brand. And to be honest, wish they'd changed the name altogether already so I wouldn't be associated with it. Am I like reading a little bit too far into this, or does she sound a little bit bitter because she's like that brand, you know? Look, y'all. I know that she said within her statement, and I'm sorry, but I just feel like it was just a cover up. I know that she said within her statement that it was her decision to let go of the brand. That's just not true. It's just not. I really truly strongly feel Kendo definitely owned the majority of the brand, and they bought her out obviously because sales were going down, because that was when the whole accountability was taking place to her, and people were like, hold up, you're using KVD in a makeup tutorial, oh my gosh, you're doing a KVD review. It was kind of like what's happening with Jeffree Star right now, as to where his sales are like really slowing down because of everything that happened with him, you know? It happened with Kat Von D, except for all of her stuff was like on the news and TMZ. It was just really put out there massively because she was an actual, like, you know, well-known celebrity around the world. So I feel like Kendo was like, hold up, we gotta buy her out. And just to close out the video, I want to go ahead and show you guys, this is what the new Instagram looks like, which I feel like, oh, it was really sad actually to see that they had deleted all of the old Kat Von D imagery on their Instagram, because if y'all don't remember, her Instagram was just so aesthetically pleasing. It was so beautiful, so color coordinated. Like, whoever was managing their social media, I think did an excellent job as far as when it comes to aesthetic, because it just looked beautiful, you know? So this is their new logo right here, which, look, I feel like it's still beautiful. You can obviously see now that they have the new name on their Cara Veritas Decora, which I feel like, okay, I really feel like they tried their hardest to try to think of something that was KVD, honestly. I'm still going to stand by what I say. I really do feel like they should have just changed the brand completely, or just left it as KVD. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did you have to do a whole rebranding? Just leave it as KVD. Like, there's so many other brands out there that have just such a, like, different name, and you're kind of like, okay, I don't know what this means, you know? They could have just left it as KVD. But in my personal opinion, I think that they were doing this rebranding because sales are down, and they needed to do something to kind of, like, jumpstart some more sales. But I personally think, since they did all of this, if they would have just rebranded with a whole new different logo, with a different name, things like that, I think that that would have been a little bit more successful. I think more people would have jumped on board to actually trying them out, rather than still holding on to the KVD logo, because there is literally still thousands of people out there that are like, I'm not purchasing from KVD, because they still believe that it does have some type of tie to Kat Von D, which obviously is not the case. But I don't know, y'all. In my personal opinion, they should have just let it go, but that's just me. But anyways, y'all, what do you guys think about it? Do you guys think that she should have, see, there I go, thinking that it's her brand. Oh my gosh. Do you think that they should have actually just got rid of KVD? Do you think they should have changed it? Because I'm going to be honest with y'all, okay? Because still in my head, I still just know it as Kat Von D. Like, whenever I'm talking to a friend or whatever, I'll be like, oh, did you try that from Kat Von D? Or like, oh, do you still use that Kat Von D foundation? You know what I'm saying? Even though it was KVD Vegan Beauty. I don't know. They should have just left it at that, or completely changed it. That's just my personal opinion. But what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about the change? Do you guys like it? Are you guys with me on they should have just changed the whole thing? Like, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on it. But anyways, you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, Girl Scout.